All right, folks, got a special event for you today. Got a guest coming onto the Noah BE Church channel. Let's see who it is. It's Gold Jacket Luke.
What's up? Hey, great to see you.
Welcome to the B-roll. So tall, making me look short. Come on in. Welcome back.
Thank you.
This is, for those of you who don't know, Luke Eilers.
Correct?
Yes,
Yeah, most
okay.
people pronounce it wrong.
Sometimes I say Eilers, but
Sometimes people say Eilers.
Eilers, I've never said that one, unfortunately. But some of you might know I live in Portland, Oregon, and now so too does Luke.
I have joined. It's beautiful up here, yeah.
He's joined the cult of Portlanders. Welcome to my home. I think you've been here once before, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I got set up.
Awesome.
I'll be in that chair, so I'll look a little bit taller compared to you. You'll be sitting down a little lower.
Looks perfect.
Welcome to my office, Luke.
Thank you.
Otherwise known as the common area of my house, so not really my office. But it's good to have you here. I've been following you for a long time, ever since you first transitioned from your old YouTube channel, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, and started Gold Jacket Luke. That's the name of your YouTube channel, right?
Yep.
Can you tell me what the purpose of Gold Jacket Luke is?
Yeah, back like 7 years ago, I had a gold jacket, and every once in a while, when I would party in college, I would wear the gold jacket just to be ridiculous.
All right.
And when I first started my channel, I was thinking, what's a way I could kind of stand out? And initially, I was thinking I would wear my gold jacket in all my videos, just to stand out, to grab people's attention more. But I quickly realized that, I don't know, that just seemed kind of too much, a little detracting from the message. So now I only wear the gold jacket every once in a while if I am in the mood.
For some reason, I had a deeper story in my mind about why the gold jacket. I thought it had something to do with like turning over a new leaf, and now you're like a new Luke with a golden, pure spirit, and like this is you trying to improve the world. But maybe I was reading too much into it.
Yeah, it'd be like Gandalf the Grey turning into Gandalf the White.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I had the gold jacket while I was still a porn addict and struggling with lots of things in my life.
Okay.
So it wasn't quite metaphorical in that sense.
And now we get into the main subject of my channel, at least. I'm not sure if porn addiction is the main subject of your channel.
One of the main ones for sure.
Yeah. And both of us struggled with that for many years.
Yep.
It started very early on, I imagine. We won't go on into your whole background and story. But one thing that I saw recently was the CBS mini documentary feature about pornography and its impact on young people, interviews with certain people like yourself.
Yeah. Month after month, year after year, looking at it more and more and more, and just not being happy and just being depressed and anxious for a long time.
And then they also did things like went to a porn set and actually filmed with and interviewed with some of the porn producers.
They got all sorts of different perspectives. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting feature and worth watching. Of course, some triggering images, so I'll put the link in the description, but be warned, if you're not confident that you're able to handle that, then
definitely
be your own censor. But one scene that really jumped out to me was just 2 seconds, a 2-second clip. They were filming with you in your house or your friend's house or somewhere, and you had your laptop, and you were using your laptop, and then it pans to around behind your shoulder, and it showed you watching porn. And it blurred out the screen. I found myself imagining how they set that up. They just said, "Hey, Luke, I know you're a porn addict and you swore like you weren't going to use porn, but I'm going to need you to watch porn for this. Just need to get some epic B-roll here of what it's like for a man to watch porn." Is that what they said?
Yeah. They said they were wondering if they could get a shot of me reading the different categories on Pornhub.
Okay.
So, and yeah, at first I was a little taken back, and then they said, "Are you sure you can do this?" I said, "Sure." And, so they had me read lesbian, a bunch of the categories, and they ended up not using that footage. But
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was yeah. It's, my theory was maybe this was like a fake documentary, and that they were actually hired by Pornhub to get me re-addicted.
Just creatively edit the footage to make it look like you're just using porn all the time.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny because it was only a second and a half or 2 seconds, and it made me say like, "Wait, what? Was that just a shot of Luke watching porn?"
Yeah, they did have a footage of me actually doing a Skype call with a client of mine and editing a video, and they chose not to use that and chose to use the footage of me reading the categories and edited it to make it.
Journalists, man, you
yeah.
can never trust them. But before you had Gold Jacket Luke, you had a different YouTube channel, and it was pretty successful, as I remember. I think I even happened upon a couple of your videos before I knew who you were, or before you had come up and started speaking about pornography at all.
Yeah.
And that was a different channel, right? What was the purpose of that channel?
Yeah, that was the channel was called Whatever, and I founded that channel with two of my friends, Brian and Fred. And back in the day in like 2011, 2010, I was really into kind of the pickup artist stuff. I was really insecure with girls, and I used that as a way to kind of work on my courage and approach girls and stuff. And I was a fan of like simple pickup and social experiment channels. So me and two friends started making prank and social experiment and approaching girl type videos. And yeah, some of those videos got like a couple million views. It was really exciting.
Wow.
And it was really fun for a while, but I quickly kind of lost my passion for it, and it didn't feel very purposeful or meaningful. I realized I was kind of doing it for my vanity. I kind of liked getting the views, and I wanted to take a more meaningful and purposeful path. And so I left that channel and decided to share my insights on life and talk about personal development and spirituality and dating and more meaningful stuff to me, that and really focus on how can I help people, and trying to have a more meaningful message.
Can you give me an example of what one of the most viewed headlines might have been on your old channel?
Yeah, one of them was picking up girls with a boner, and we got a dildo. we put a dildo in our pants, and it was like a really big dildo. So we had a very obvious bulge, and then we would approach girls and try to get their numbers.
So only the most sophisticated of entertainment. And I think I heard you talk about before that you sort of created a confident persona of like a pickup guy who could get any girl or could do all these crazy things and get attention, but that wasn't really who you were.
No, it wasn't. It was deep down I had tons of insecurities, and that was kind of my cover. I wanted to show it to the world, look how confident I was, because deep down I was very scared of actually being real and vulnerable with women. It was a big insecurity of mine, and over time I evolved to where now I was a big critic of the pickup community and thought it was very unhealthy and manipulative and very ego-centered ways to connect with women. I've done like a complete renunciation of lots of that stuff into a more heart-centered way to connect with people. Yeah,
there are a lot of dating and pickup coaches out there now. It's a big business. And some of the information is good and can help you better understand relationships and how to actually find real connection. But a lot of it seems to be manipulative and toxic.
There's some good stuff and there's lots of bad stuff. But the overall message of putting yourself out there and talking to people, and courage is good. But some of the other stuff is not the best.
So now, after all this preamble, we'll get to my real question, which is, how do you think pornography use impacted your perception of dating, of pickup, of women, of relationships, of sex?
Yeah, I'd say two big things. The first is that it really had me over-objectify women, sexualize women, and pedalize women. Instead of seeing them as fellow human beings, I overly sexualized and objectified women. And like one example would be, I didn't really have any female friends, and I would I would only see women as someone to have sex with. Like when I was interacting with women, I wouldn't even think about that possibility. Hey, I could just be friends with this woman. And it also, looking at porn so much, it made me really nervous around women, because rather than a being who I could connect with, it was almost this being that I had to like earn and like get their approval. And rather than just being myself, they were these, I had to like be good enough to get women, because I saw them as like an object to acquire, and not good stuff. Yeah.
And did you find those perceptions and attitudes changing after you decided the porn-free life was for you?
Definitely. Yeah. As I went on the porn-free life, I just, like, my perceptions of women really started to change. I started to see women just as, like, I became much more comfortable with women. So this is just another human being, and that, like, our physical looks, in lots of sense, is an illusion to our personality and our character, is who we truly are. And once I stopped looking at porn, which only glorifies kind of the visual appeal of women, and started to actually interact more with women from a place of seeing them for who they really are, that made me a lot more comfortable with women, and like, lots of my social anxiety went down, and B, I started to have more just like female friends.
Yeah.
And just
it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. And then, because I stopped objectifying women, I also subconsciously stopped like objectifying myself. I stopped caring so much. Like, before, I would go to the gym a lot, or like I like, because I saw women as sex values, it's like subconsciously seeing myself in a similar way, where I would,
your value hinged upon your physical attributes,
or just, and like status, or like I was more superficial. And once I saw women more real, like, I just started being more real, and then I started to attract more authentic, real people into my life as well.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of the similar effects that you did. And looking back, I had 0 close female friends when I was using pornography. I think the reasoning is the same. I looked at women either as potential sexual partners or not interested.
Yeah.
And so the ones I was interested in, I would either attract or push away, because I was purely pursuing them from a romantic point of view.
Yeah.
And the other ones I just didn't interact with.
Yeah.
And now most of my friends are women, and most of
Awesome.
them I don't think of as potential romantic partners. It's just, I enjoy women, I enjoy their energy, and I enjoy getting to know them and having them in my life, and giving to each other. And ironically, you tend to have a lot more romantic opportunity when you're just used to having women in your life, and you have women in your life. So
it's a bit paradoxical, yeah. And the other thing would be, I just lost my train of thought.
Cut this! Cut it! No stuttering, no hesitation.
There's...
I think there's something else to say, but that guy, you asked me, there were 2 things I said. So one is just objectifying women less, and the second thing would be, I was about to, it's like on the tip of my tongue, right?
Sorry for the freeze, but yeah, the second thing was how porn affected me. Was it just, I think it really fried my dopamine receptors, and it gave me extreme social anxiety, depression, fatigue, and I really felt I never had a PIED, but porn-induced erectile dysfunction, but I did have just extreme dopamine effects from looking at porn.
Yeah, and all those effects are complex, and there's a lot behind them. But most people discover on this porn-free journey, there's usually one standout symptom that got them to start.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that is porn-induced sexual dysfunction.
Yep.
But sometimes it's something else.
Yeah.
But on that journey, they realize all the other ways in which porn has impacted them, whether it's perceptions of women and sex, or just frying their reward system and their dopaminergic pathways such that they're limited in their capacity and their potential.
Yeah.
And a lot of those effects are reduced confidence, reduced ambition and motivation and passion. just living a more grayed out life.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
definitely what I experienced.
Likewise, yeah.
All right, next up for you, I've got some of the most difficult questions I get from clients. So you might think that our first collab, I'd take it easy on you, but that's not the plan.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I get some controversial, nuanced questions from people pretty frequently. One of them is about using paid sexual services or other like paid intimacy in order to either rewire or just become like more comfortable with sex or as a sexual outlet.
That's a
Whether
great
that's,
topic.
Sex work or something less sexual but still paid intimacy like cuddling services, which I know you made a video on recently. So what do you think about all that? What do you tell people when they ask you about that?
Yeah, that's a great topic. For me, regarding escorts or prostitutes, that's something I don't recommend. I think when it's involving sex, that directly ties into our identity and self-esteem, and sex should really be an expression of emotions and connection. And when someone pays to engage sexually and it involves lust, I don't think that is healing, because there's no connection. And like most people who I've talked to have seen escorts say they feel worse afterwards than going in, that they felt like they used the girl, they felt really empty. And so I don't think there's value in that. Maybe there's a rare exception, but that's my perspective on that. Just recently I saw a professional cuddler myself. Here in Portland, there's lots of unique things.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that was a great experience.
Okay.
That's something I would recommend. I like how in Marnie Robinson's book, Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, she talks about a difference between mating and bonding. And I feel like cuddling is like pure, just like bonding, while like prostitution would be very mating. It's like it's lustful, or like going to a strip club, it's lustful. But in cuddling, there really isn't any lust. It's a different circuitry part of the brain where it's more just like giving a friend a hug. Or I think there's I think we're all connected, and like just our society needs more hugs. And cuddling, there's lots of healthy benefits. There's lots of studies about how it calms down the amygdala, how it releases some oxytocin, how it improves the immune system. And I think if someone hasn't experienced any touch in a while, that seeing a professional cuddler could be a good thing to do. Maybe just like once, just to kind of get more comfortable with touch. And especially maybe if someone's a virgin or very inexperienced, just to have some, in a non-sexual way, get some experience with the opposite sex. I think it could be a healthy thing. I went myself and I felt some benefits and I felt good about it. Yeah.
So from your perspective, that bonding sort of affection, physical affection that's non-lustful, even if it's like transactional and like you're paying for her time, that builds you up and leaves you feeling better and more lasting satisfaction. But the lust, absent any real emotional connection in a transactional setting, actually leaves people feeling empty and lesser afterward. Is that right?
Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, that's my perspective. Someone commented on my cuddling video, well, since you're paying for a cuddle, doesn't that ruin the point? Or like, isn't that not healthy? But my response was, when you're paying someone for therapy or coaching, does that ruin it? No, it's like paying can just be, it's a sign of appreciation. It's like, hey, it's a way of saying thank you and appreciating the service. So I don't think the issue is paying for it. I think it's more the act, and whether it's coming from a loving place and hey, let's just connect and bond, or is it coming from a place of ego satisfaction and lust and trying to fill a hole within ourselves.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And How about like in a relationship? Would you say that it's healthy just to have like lust crazed orgasm pursuit sex, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think everyone's different, and I think it depends on each individual case and each individual couple.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say the core thing I would focus on is an expression of a deeper connection. Is it coming from a loving place?
Mm-hmm.
Like seeing a prostitute, it's not going to be coming from a loving place. But if you're having lustful sex with someone you love, you know, that's and there's like a deep connection. You know, I say do whatever feels right and works best for you.
Yeah, we each have to experiment. There's no guidebook on
There's
how
no
exactly
right
to live
answer.
our lives and
Yeah,
be in a relationship. But you mentioned Marnia Robinson's book, Cupid's Poison Arrow,
yeah,
which is a good read. I recommend it. Definitely thought-provoking in terms of what sex is, what bonding is.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of orgasm? Is it actually serving me?
Yeah,
Gets you thinking about all those things.
definitely. Yeah, and when I find a partner, I'm definitely going to experiment with Karetza and those principles in that book because it made a lot of sense to me. And for me, that book connected lots of dots in my mind, and I think that's the type of relationship I would want. And it's something I had never heard about before. I thought all sex was supposed to be lustful and orgasms, and so I'm looking forward to experiment with Kreza once I find a partner.
Now, what would you say to someone who said, you know, Luke, like everything you talk about is well and good, but porn is just better than real sex. Like it never disappoints me. It's always there when I need it. Like it can be whatever I want. I don't have to buy it dinner. I don't have to take care of its emotions. Like it's just, it makes me feel relaxed. It helps me get to sleep. And it's just so much easier. Like porn's never broken my heart. And yeah, it's just, I like it. You know, why should I quit?
Yeah. Well, I would ask that person if ever in the future they would actually want a real relationship, because if they're going to choose porn, you know, viewing porn through their dopamine system and through their psychology is going to make them less and less attractive to attract a real partner. Mm-hmm. So if they're going to take the porn route and they're going to not want to change and stick with that, that'd be a decision that, like, are they comfortable making that decision for the rest of their life? So if they're 25, are you going to be fine looking at porn for the next 65 years of your life without ever having intimacy or that deep emotional connection with someone? Mm-hmm. I'm not dogmatic. If someone wants to look at porn, you know, it's
we're all free adults.
It's their choice to make. Another point I could say is also think about the industry every time you're looking at porn. I know you're a vegan, and so lots of people can not watch porn also for the ethical reasons, because there's so much abuse and exploitation. So often when we look at porn, we're supporting a really corrupt and abusive industry. So that could be another option.
What are you talking about? It's an industry of light and joy and love, and everyone who's there is just making money and doing what they love and happy to do it. And all the animals in factory farms, they live happy lives, and they just have one bad day at the end of their life. And those are all lies.
Yeah, yeah, but I'd say like for me, porn always left me feeling empty. Like I don't really understand the perspective of the people who love porn, and even if I masturbate without porn, I tend to have a better orgasm than when I masturbate with porn. I just, porn is an escape, like for me, and it didn't even while like masturbating, it would kind of disconnect me from the masturbatory experience. So I would just tell that person, imagine, you know, it might take some years, it might take lots of hard work, but imagine if you got your life together and there are lots of really amazing woman out there. And, you know, yes, you can imagine having sex with an amazing woman you love, but even just imagine just the emotional connection, the companionship, a life partner, someone to cuddle with and be vulnerable with and just enjoy hanging out with. And I think when you compare that to porn, it's really a no-brainer. It's like, would you rather live in the Matrix or in real life?
Can I have both?
So there are lots of studies, as you know, how the more porn someone watches, the less relationship satisfaction they have in their own life, the weaker boners they have, the weaker attraction they have with their partner.
Yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate here. But of course, we're all free adults.
Yeah.
We want to watch porn, we can do that. But
yeah,
when you, in my experience, delve into that well deep enough, eventually you realize that it's never going to bring you what you actually want.
yeah,
And then you start looking for alternative routes.
exactly. And the more you watch, the more extreme it has to get, the more you're desensitized to it.
And for anyone who's doubtful whether or not porn has a negative influence in their lives, I usually just recommend, well, try going without for 3 months.
Yeah.
And see how it feels.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it, that's a big red flag that, yes, it is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of telling people, if they say, well, I'm not addicted to porn, instead of saying, well, trying to reduce and see how you feel. Yeah, I think it's great to explore at the extremes, going, hey, try without 3 months, see how you feel. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I've heard from a single person who's taken a 3-month break that they've ever wanted to go back to porn.
Yeah, you're right. I can't think of an example like that.
Every single person who's taken a break from porn realizes life is better without it.
I've certainly talked to people who did go back to porn, but it's not because they made the rational choice. It's just because they're addicted.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what do you think about the other side of nofap, which is semen retention, no masturbation? Should we all be striving to never orgasm unless we're trying to have a child, or like, what do you think? Where do you lie on that spectrum? Yeah,
that's a great question. So, for me personally, I'm a believer in nofap and semen retention. I've barely masturbated over the last 3 years, and I've been single, and I personally feel better when I am not ejaculating or having an orgasm. Mm-hmm. When I'm working with a client, I always say, do what works best for you. For some people, masturbating in moderation without porn is what's best for them. For some people, going hard mode without masturbation is best for them. So I think it's on an individual basis based on their brain chemistry and their personality and where they're at in their life. But for me, I definitely feel the best when I'm on no porn and no ejaculation or orgasm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you'll probably ask me a similar question in your interview of me.
I am, yeah.
Which you can see on Luke's channel, GoldJacketLuke. So this interview will be on mine, of course, and then we'll put a link in the description to my interview on his channel.
Yeah, and from reading Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, I definitely want to see what it would be like to have a relationship where it's only having charisma, where there's no ejaculations and orgasms, and
a sexual relationship,
how that would
without
feel.
The pursuit of orgasm.
Yeah, so
something that most people never explore in their lives.
Yeah, so I feel really drawn to explore that path and see what that's like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't think there's any right answer.
Right.
It's all about knowing what options we have and exploring and experimenting, and each individual can figure out what works best for them.
So the last thing I have for you is about escalation and tolerance. And as most of you probably know, tolerance is that process of gradual desensitization. Occurs with any addiction, but in pornography it tends to display in that the material that used to excite you a lot no longer does very much for you, so you need to seek out a wider variety of material, more vivid material, more extreme material, or more specific material. And a lot of us go through this process and end up flitting from genre to genre, going between different performers, always looking for something new. Some people admittedly do fixate on just a few different things, or always find the same very specific kink or fetish to be the most arousing. But a lot of us just flit from genre to genre and gradually expand our sexual palette until we're getting off to things that maybe disturb us, that used to repulse us or not attract us at all, and maybe are even at odds with our sense of our own sexuality. We start consuming pornography that depicts sexual scenarios that we never used to really think about or find attractive, like homosexual pornography, or for someone who's always felt themselves to be homosexual, maybe they're now watching lesbian pornography or heterosexual pornography or transsexual pornography. And there's nothing wrong, of course, innately with any of these things, but when it causes someone to doubt their identity and to have a lot of shame and self-loathing, they might find this material about porn addiction and recovery and wonder, if I quit porn, will I still have these desires or will they go away? What do you think about that?
Yeah, great question. I'm actually currently reading the book The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Deutsch, and it's all about brain plasticity. And from the research that's out there is that our brains are extremely plastic and malleable. So if someone stops looking at porn and gets into a healthy relationship, I believe people can possibly 100% or probably 100% heal. There's a chance maybe they only heal 99, 98%, and every once in a while they could get flickers of some old kink or fetish or something. But I think especially over time, and if they get into a healthy, loving relationship and condition their brain and body to normal, healthy, loving sex, that can deprogram whatever kinks that porn programmed in.
Can I ask you if you personally experienced that?
Yeah, I definitely got into my porn taste definitely escalated, and I've been single for a while, so I think once I get into a relationship, I don't feel 100% healed yet, and every once in a while those kinks still pop into my mind.
Yeah.
But it's already, even though I haven't gotten into a real relationship yet, my thoughts on those things or desires have gone way down because simply I haven't viewed it in a long time.
Yeah.
So,
in my experience, some people, once they do that, like you say, and are in a relationship, they've been porn free for, damn it.
yeah, that was quicker than 15 minutes.
Almost there.
Yeah.
All right, we're dealing with my camera overheating after about 15 minutes of use. So this is my GoPro. I'm just going to finish my interview. And I was saying, in my experience with my clients and myself, a lot of the time when someone's been porn free for sufficiently long and they've gone through that process of rewiring with the partner, coming to fully enjoy real sex again, get over their sexual dysfunction, a lot of those people do completely lose interest in some of the more extreme or disturbing desires that they cultivated with their porn use. But a significant number of them don't. Like, they still desire those things. And it might be something that they want to explore in real life, in real relationships, as long as their partner is enthusiastic about it as well. But it shouldn't be required in order for them to get aroused or the main feature of their sex life. Like, you should be able to get back to the point where you're able to enjoy the kind of sexual experiences and encounters that you first started desiring when your sexuality was awakening, and not have to rely on certain kinks or fetishes, bringing those into the bedroom just to get aroused enough for sex.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That sounds 100% spot on from I would 100% agree. Yeah.
You heard it right here. 100% spot on all the time, 100% of the time.
I would be curious if I imagine doing a Kreza practice for maybe 3 months, because orgasm sex does get the dopamine up and down a lot. But if someone had Kreza only for 3 months, maybe that could extra help decondition their kinks or fetishes.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
We didn't fully define Karezza, but it's hard to fully define in a short video clip. But it's a practice of sexual connection that's not about the pursuit of orgasm. You're actually avoiding orgasm. It tends to be more lengthy, more slow, more gentle, more about the emotional connection and the intimacy. And you're still having sex, like there's still penis inside vagina, but it feels very different. And yeah, it tends to result in greater sensitivity over time because you're not sating yourself. Like, you're not reaching that point where it's like, okay, I've had enough, I don't want any more, which you can get to with just the pursuit of orgasm and having too many orgasms. And it tends to be among couples who speak about Carezza and have experienced it, it tends to be a more sustainable for them and result in greater relationship harmony. And that's all things you can read about in Cupid's Poison Arrow, which I'll put that link in the description too. And this is the end of my interview of Luke. So jump on over to Luke's channel, see his interview of me. Thanks for coming, Luke.
Thank you for having me on your channel.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
Have a wonderful PMO-free day.
Thank you for watching.
Peace.
Stay strong.
Oh, he's trying to park. He parked there, but then he reconsidered. Now he's trying to get closer to the curb. There he is, folks. Way off in the distance. That stick figure over there. That's Gold Jacket Luke. Oh, is he coming? Is he gonna change his mind and go back again? No.